the Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held via video conferencing pursuant to Part WW of Chapter 56 of the Laws of 2022. Our next meeting and those following will be held in person here at Town Hall and will also allow for the applicants and or the public to participate remotely. So we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website. With that, I'd ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will be starting this meeting with the public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. Charles Certain will mute the speakers until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you are having difficulties accessing the hearings, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and will be removed from the meeting until the end of the hearing. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, all of these applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until June 17th, 2022. Those comments can be addressed to the board secretary, Candace, and sent via email, mail, and or dropped off at Town Hall. And with that, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Minutes are approved. And with that, we will go on to adjournments.
Okay, case number 2, 87 Foster Avenue, LLC, 87 Foster Avenue, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-374-2-6. It will be re-advertised for July 7th.
Well, I just want to add something. We just got a speaker for that hearing through the portal, Michelle Wagner. So this application is not going to be heard. It'll be heard on July 7th.
All right, Katie, yep, I just responded to her email.
Okay,
I'm sorry, when are we going to hear this application?
July 7th.
Okay, is it going to be re-advertised?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what but there's no vote required, correct?
No vote for rehab.
Okay. Case number 7, Blessing Fields LLC, 163 West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays, tax map number 900-222-1-12. I make a motion to adjourn this to July 7th.
We have a second.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay. The following decisions, I make a motion to adjourn the following decisions to our June 16th meeting. Adios Holdings LLC, tax map number 900-10-1-11. Jean-Marc Chalian and Geraci de Silva, tax map number 900-231-3-27. Nicholas and Luz Cardaris, tax map number 900-26-1-86. And 1240 Ocean LLC, tax map number 900-134-4-29.9. And finally, the Colonel's Way LLC, tax map number 900-60-3-14.2. So I move to adjourn these to June 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, opposed.
Okay.
All right.
I think those were the adjournments. Now, getting back to the agenda. Case number 1, Farrell CIT Bilco LLC, 201 Jobs Lane, Bridgehampton, tax map number 900-134-2-32. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 1 for a proposed spa on a non-conforming lot, section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, a proposed front yard setback of 82.4 feet where 90 feet is required, and 2, for a proposed tennis court, small I, section 330-11, a proposed front yard setback of 83.5 feet where 90 feet is required, and 2, small I, section 330-79D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residential districts, for a proposed required rear yard coverage of 42.11%, where 20% is required, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. We're looking for Kim Judd.
She is coming.
Hi, board members. Kimberly Judd, 737 Roanoke Avenue, Riverhead, New York, for the applicant. I see that Mr. Macedonio is the lead of my application. I didn't know if he got set up. I can wait until second call. If you can second call me until he gets set up.
He's set up.
I think
I'm on phone. I'm at home now, so I'm signing onto the computer. I'm listening as I'm signing on.
You want to wait? I can second call that way. I'd like your full attention.
It's fine. You have my full attention.
Okay, so this property is located at 20. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, hold on a second.
Well, Kim, you know you could share your screen.
A share screen. Here we go. Okay, there, can you see that map right there?
Nope.
No.
Okay, no?
No,
You
No.
are not sharing.
It says share on it. Okay, hold on a second.
You have to push the button.
I did, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Share screen. Okay, I think that should be it.
There we go.
That's it. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. So this lot's on it's a corner lot. It's on 201 Jobs Lane in Bridgehampton. It contains 65,000 square feet, and it's located in the R80 zoning district. Though it's non-conforming as to lot area, it possesses a CO, as do the adjacent lots, and pursuant to a 2003 ZBA decision, improved lots cannot merge. The town's 1957 zoning map shows that at the time when this house was built, the property was located in an agricultural residential 40 zoning district. And at that time, it met the minimum lot area of 40,000 square feet. And the property was improved with a pre-existing certificate of occupancy for a one-family, two-story frame dwelling with front porch and 2 barns. Since the time that I submitted this application, a demolition permit was applied for and granted, and a building permit issued for a proposed dwelling. And I'm going to show you. So this is what the house looked like. If you can see my cursor, this was the house that was there, and you'll see there were 2 barns located on this property. And I'm going to the survey now, and this is the survey. So you can see here, this is the proposed dwelling that's been issued a building permit. So the 1-story family dwelling that was here has been demolished, as well as the 2 barns that were here. And a building permit was applied for this structure. It was approved. The house did receive ARB approval. The existing house that was there has been demolished, as well as the barns, and they're getting ready to put the foundation in for the proposed dwelling. The proposed dwelling doesn't require any area variances. We're not before the board tonight for any variance really for the house. If you look at this proposed tennis court, because it's located on a corner lot, you see this crosshatched area in brown. That area is about let's see, 8,007 square feet. This area is excluded from the calculation of the required rear yard. So when you're calculating on a corner lot, what the required rear yard is, it's this area in yellow. So this is the area in yellow, and just eyeballing it, you can tell it's going to be over the 20%. What I did was I asked the surveyor to calculate, had this been a through lot, meaning not on a corner, it would be, you would have two properties on each side. I asked him, please calculate how much variance relief I would need if this were a through lot as opposed to a corner lot. And Mr. Barilski did do a letter. You'll see right here, it says licensed land surveyor. He said that had this not been a through lot, that the required rear yard lot coverage would be 27.04 feet, which is significantly less than what we're requesting from the board. I know from the past years, the board doesn't like to really grant required rear yard lot coverage variances for over 30%. But I would ask the board to take a look at this and see that in the past, you have recognized a corner lot has an additional burden. And had this not been a corner lot and been a regular through lot, as some of the other lots in the neighborhood, we wouldn't need the 41% we're requesting. It would be 27.04 feet. So that's Mr. Barilski's, and it's a significant chunk that is being excluded. So again, if you look at this, he does say in his letter that if we were to include this entire rear yard here, the rear yard lot that you would be able to calculate would be 22,373 square feet. That's what he has in his letter. But
Right, so that's not for a through lot. That's just for a regular lot with one front yard.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct. So if it was just a regular lot, not a corner lot, you would have 22,373 feet in this area. But because it's a corner lot, it goes down to 14,366 square feet. So that's what Mr. Barilski's letter states. And I think that's important because, like I said, in the past years, the board has recognized that corner lots do have a significant burden, and other factors in the past that you have recognized and required rear lots are wetlands, which this property doesn't have. You've granted over 30% when it backs up to an ag reserve. Here's a aerial, and I just wanted to show you. Here's my lot right here with the orange highlight. This lot next door to the north was granted a variance back in 1972, but for dwelling, total side yards to 55 feet. This corner lot over here on Ambleside Lane was granted a variance back in 2012 for 35.67% for the required rear yard. I would submit to you that I put here, this corner lot is 82,241 square feet. My lot is 65,404 square feet. So it's 16,000 square feet smaller. So when I was looking at this aerial, I'm going, oh my gosh, look at Ambleside Lane. I'm going to have all kinds of variances for tennis courts. I said, I got a tennis court here and a required side yard. I got another tennis court over here and a required side yard. I got a tennis court over here and a required yard. So when I GIS them, they were all built from 1995 to 1999. And they all were just issued permits during the late 90s. They didn't have to go for variances. So something happened 1999 forward to this time, because today, if these tennis courts were be constructed in the location that you see, they would have required variances for being in a required yard. So I also submitted a bunch of variances from years past that, and they were ag reserve ZBA decisions. The first one was not. The first decision Sean Barron got in Bridgehampton, and it was back in 2013. The competitive edge on that application, so to speak, was that it was a residential lot in a commercial neighborhood. And that's why the board saw fit to grant the lot area relief in that 3 Sears path to 59.22. And like I said, there's a corner lot right down there, 2 lots over, that was granted a 35.67% lot coverage variance because it was a corner lot. Like, again, I said, it is 16,000 square feet bigger than my lot. And I wanted to see, I just thought I would submit this just because I was amazed. If you look at this, this is a 1962 GIS picture, and this is my client's lot right here. So truly a farming community back then. You'll see that that most of the properties were vacant back then. And then you compare it to today right here, and it's fully developed. So I don't know if the board has any, oh, and we're gonna need distance to lot line, distance to street variance for the tennis court. So going back to the first page here, it's gonna be proposed is 83.5 feet instead of the required 90. But I would submit to the board that the one-story frame barn that was there was much closer to the road. So we're going to be further back. The tennis court's going to be sunken. It's going to be 55 by 110. It's going to meet the distance to side and rear yard lot line. So it'll meet the 30-foot requirements on both sides. And if you look at the aerial, I don't know if anybody was able to do a inspection, there's a significant tree hedge line separating these two properties. And from the back area where the barns used to be, where we're proposing to put the tennis court.
Have you heard from any of the neighbors?
Not yet.
So a couple of things. The first thing is we did have a note from the building department that they wanted, maybe you've already taken care of this, 2 original and 9 sealed and signed copies of the most recent survey dated May 3rd, 2022.
Yes,
I'm
I
not
did.
sure what
I
that's-
did do that.
Okay. And the other thing I just wanted to tell you is, well, as you mentioned in your presentation, this is a high percentage of rear yard lot coverage for tennis court. I appreciate the fact that the lot is constrained by being adjacent to two roads, but I'm not exactly sure where the board is going to be on this. So, I mean, we'll certainly take a look at the decisions that you've submitted and consider them. But you know, I just, you know, when we're going in the range of over into the 40% range, you know, you had indicated, you know, only a couple of areas where we typically, well, not typically, but on occasion, will grant relief for large, you know, more than 40% rear yard lot coverage, and that generally is wetlands or adjacent to an ag area. There might be a couple of other unique circumstances here. I don't know that we necessarily have done that in the past exactly to this level of a percentage, you know, based on it being a lot that is adjacent to two roads. But you know, I'll take a look at the decisions and we'll see. So that's what I can tell you. I just really don't know what the outcomes can be.
Well, I appreciate your comments, and just what I have up here, if you look at the 157 Jobs Lane, which was 35.67, again, 16,000 square feet bigger than my lot. If I had that, obviously I wouldn't need any required rear yard lot coverage, but I would appreciate if you would look at the past decisions. And I understand that when you say it's been granted, I acknowledge with ag reserves and wetlands, but I think you've also granted variances. Maybe, I'm not sure about the number because I don't do as many as I used to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done them in the 30s, but I don't know about.
But I would say that if it was not a corner lot, if it was only one front yard, it would be 27.04%,
Right.
which is well within the range of what you would like to see under 30%.
But you know, Kim, in all fairness, it is a corner lot. So it's got constraints, and you know, when you purchase it, you understand what those constraints are, and you can't pretend it's not a corner lot.
You
My
can't, but
my question to you is, have you played around with this at all? Have you looked to try to reduce
Yes.
the pool and shifting things back and forth a little bit? I mean, I would like to know that you've considered other options.
Yeah, so we could move this pool and you could shift the tennis court up, but you can see I am in, even if half of it is still going to be within there. And then when I shift the pool over here in this crosshatched area, I'm now closer to the road than the barn was before. So when you're looking at the weighing test, who am I negatively impacting? Is it going to be worse to move the pool, just to move the tennis court up a couple feet so I could get the number down a little bit? But now I'm moving a pool that's going to be much closer to the road than the barn was. Like I said, I have an 1.5 acres here. It's a pretty big lot. And I have a house that conforms to zoning and meets with all the zoning requirements. So I understand in the beginning, the number is what you're going to look at. You're going to see the 41%. But again, that's why I asked Steve Barilski to write that letter. If I only had the one front yard, if that would, what would
But
the
you don't,
lot be?
but you don't.
I don't, but you have recognized for the past 20 years that corner lots have a burden. Janet Finkel's ZBA application, which was litigated in Bridgehampton for many years. You have recognized that lots that have restrained or on corner lots have a different burden.
They have a different burden,
Yes.
but whether it rises to this level of burden, I don't know.
Yeah, and Kim, if being that Susan already has concerns and I have mine as well, we may want to have the other two board members be here for, to weigh in on this. It's up to you.
Yeah, and I would like to hear, and I'd also like to see if there's any neighbors that are.
Right.
Kim, I agree with Adam. I just want to read the prior decisions you make reference to and just compare them to what we're looking at here.
Okay.
And why that area in the brown, why, if that was not excluded, what would be the rear lot coverage?
27.04%.
And that's being excluded, but it's because it's a two, on a
Because
corner
It's a
lot.
corner lot.
Yeah, okay. So that, I mean, like we just said, you purchased a corner lot, that comes with it. It is what it is.
It is.
Okay. I would ask, I'm sorry, I just want to see if any neighbors were there.
No, absolutely. But on the other hand, that is the constraint. But on the other hand, it is very unusual for us to grant. So not never, but very unusual for us to grant rear yard lot coverage in the 40s or more. So, anyway.
Yeah, I agree with Adam on that. And like I said, I'll look at the other decisions, but at this point, I don't think we'll go as high. I will not go as high as the 42%.
So if I were to move the proposed pool and put it in the brown hatched area so I can move the tennis court up, how would the board feel about that?
Let's see what the
I'd
percentages
like to see
are.
the drawings and see what it comes out to.
Yeah,
Oh, no, I mean, if I can get it to your 30%, below your 30%, but then I'm gonna need a distance to Rose Way for the pool.
I'd rather do that. If I had a
Okay.
choice, I'd rather do that.
me
I
too.
agree with Adam on that.
Me too.
Okay,
So it's up to you, but if you want to, first we'll see if there are neighbors here, but
okay,
I'm suggesting, you come back.
Okay.
I think regardless. Okay. Any other questions or members of the board, or Katie or Anthony? Is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Farrell CIT Buildco LLC? This is for property located at 201 Jobs Lane in Bridgehampton. If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this will be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands, Adam.
Okay. Bob, it's yours. Sounds like we just need a new date.
He's muted.
Muted.
We're gonna
Muted.
hold- I'm sorry, we're gonna hold it open.
We're gonna hold it open.
What's the
So,
hold open date? I missed that when I was
well,
driving.
that's what I was gonna ask. Kim, do you want to come at the next meeting or the next meeting is June 16th. The meeting after that is July 7th.
I won't be here. How about, I'm sorry to ask this, how about the July 21st?
And just so you know, I mean, you may be going away, but you can also present via Zoom.
I know,
Okay, I just wanted to say.
And September, I'm sorry, July 21st is, we have a couple of applications that may be on that are going to particularly, one in particular that may fill up our calendar that night. So you can do this July 21st, but it may be a long night for us.
All right, then, I'll try the June 16th date then. I will see if the surveyor and everybody could, if they're able to get that all done.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so hold open till June 16th?
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
I,
Chair votes aye. Thanks so much, Kim. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, Kim.
Okay, case number 3, Jonathan Martin, 37 Lake Drive, North Sea, tax map number 900-31-1-66.7. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-84D, height/pyramid, for a pyramid encroachment of 4,261 cubic feet, 2,709 of which are on the southeast side of the property and 1,552 cubic feet on the southwest side of the property, for a proposed two-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Evening, Daphne. Just have to swear you in. You can state your name and address, please.
Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning, 225 Montauk Highway, Mauritius, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'm not sure whether you want me to swear your client in as well. It's up to you.
I know Eric Peterson, the architect, is here with me.
Oh,
I know he's
I'm sorry.
planning to speak.
Okay. Whoever you want me to swear in, I'll swear in.
I don't know. I don't see Eric on.
Okay. No problem. If he comes on, I'll swear him in then.
Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, you can tell us about the application.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen so I can show the survey.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. So the proposed project includes the demolition of an existing one-story residence with a footprint of 801 square feet with its associated decking, and construction of a new two-story residence with a footprint of 1,698 square feet with first and second story decking and porches and a swimming pool, as you see here. The property is zoned R15. It's non-conforming to the zone in that it has a lot width of 76.7 feet, where 100 feet is required. It is comprised of 17,262 square feet, and it also fronts on Fresh Pond here to the north. And you see these wetlands that wrap around on the adjacent property here to the west that add to the constraints of the property. So the project has been approved by both the Town Conservation Board and the New York State DEC. We provided copies of those permits as part of our application package. So that gives us relief under 330-83K for setbacks of up to 50% reduction. So I believe that the house has no setback issues. The existing residence has a certificate of occupancy from 1962 and a certificate of compliance from 1976 for an addition to the residence. The new residence will contain, as you see here, an upgraded sanitary system for an IAOWTS as is necessary these days. That permit from the health department was also recently granted. So all three of those agencies, health, DEC, and conservation, have issued their approvals on this project. The total lot coverage of this proposed project is 14.2%, where 20% is allowed. So at this time, we're seeking a variance from 84D in the total amount of 4,261 cubic feet, which is 2,709 cubic feet on the eastern side and 1,552 cubic feet on the west. We're located in a FEMA X zone. The FEMA line is actually here. Let me show you. So it's an AE6 on this side, and we've basically designed it so everything is landward of the FEMA line, so we're not in a flood zone. However, we are subject to a shallow groundwater table. We're pushing everything as far back from the wetlands as we've been mandated to do by the Town Conservation Board and the DEC, maximizing those wetland setbacks. We're showing a first floor elevation at 12 feet to basically accommodate the gravity feed for the sanitary system. I'm going to show you the cross section, which is over here. Here we are. So the first floor is at 12, and this is the narrowest septic system that we can do, and we're required to have a 2-foot separation to groundwater by the Conservation Board, DEC, and the Health Department for the leaching components of the septic system. So that's kind of pushing the house up, for the proper gravity feed. So we're kind of stuck in that regard. I'm going to show you one more thing. I have brought with me some photos. So this is the existing residence that we are replacing. That's the street view. This is the waterside view. I submitted this photo taken from the wetlands. I submitted it so you can see the relationship to the residents to the east here. This house received a variance back in 2012 under the name of Prisby for 5,070 cubic feet of pyramid relief for a second floor addition and a 2-story addition to that existing residence. So just to show you, our residence will be set back further into the property than this residence, but it would be similar in height and require less pyramid relief. So just for comparison. And that's basically it. That's all I have. But as I said, I have Eric Peterson here, who is the architect who can speak to any design element questions that the board may have. And Jonathan Martin, the owner, is with me as well.
Okay, well, just want to start out with a very small, very short building department comment, which you may have already taken care of, Daphne. So we got from Marjorie Riley, building inspector, accessory structure setbacks were not noted on the survey. Therefore, compliance with all required setbacks shall be required. So
I did notice as I was waiting to come on that we do show a setback, and actually let me get my share my screen again. Back to the survey. We are showing a setback. Zoom in here to, sorry, my goodness. So it's R15. We're required to have a 10-foot accessory setback. I'm seeing that we're showing a 9.7-foot setback to this planter, which would also be a partial retaining wall as the coping for the swimming pool. So I'm not sure if that would count as the actual setback to the structure. If it does, then I guess we would need a very small side yard setback variance for the swimming pool from 9.7 to 10 feet. But that was on the survey. I know this is an extremely busy survey, so Marjorie might have just not seen that.
okay, well, I just want to make sure Marjorie's satisfied with the survey. So if you can just
Well, and it looks like there's a outdoor shower, there's fence gate. I mean, there's a bunch of things that I think maybe she's talking about over there. Do they all have setbacks?
The outdoor shower should be in line with the house, which is shown at 10 feet. So that should all be compliant. Because all of this stuff is in line. The only thing that's different is this retaining wall. That's necessary because we were not allowed to place any fill per the Conservation Board. So this pool is not really fully in the ground. This is going to be an exposed wall here, and this planter is going to be like I think about 2 feet high around another higher wall. So the pool is going to be kind of out of the ground. Just this will be submerged sort of thing. So I think that this wall is what's pushing us, that 0.3 feet closer to the lot line here. Otherwise, everything else should be compliant with that same house setback of the 10 feet.
Okay. And if it turns out that you need relief for that 9.7 feet, then we can certainly deal with that under any other relief necessary. So
Okay.
that's fine. But maybe you can verify with Marjorie whether that you need that relief, and if so, that can be in a written submission.
Okay.
So that all having been said, the amount of pyramid relief is 4261. This is a lot that is significantly constrained by wetlands. So that's the nature of it. So basically, the applicant has been forced to locate the structure where it's being proposed because to protect the wetlands. So in those circumstances, we generally have we'll be willing to grant more relief than we otherwise would. But still, there may be questions from members of the board, and also I'm not sure whether there are any neighbors that are going to be have questions. But I know Eric, you're on, so I wanted to ask if you could say a few words, but I just have to swear you in first. So if you can just state your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Eric Peterson, architect. I'm in West Hampton Beach at 48D, right on Main Street. And yeah, if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to share my screen.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, feel free to share your screen, and you can give us your comments.
Okay, so you can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this was just not a complete 3D, but just a partial 3D with the front elevation superimposed. And these basically planes represent the pyramid line. The lot lines, the side yards aren't parallel. So basically what is being clipped is the volume, just to demonstrate, compliant, show what the area volume was. And you can see that it's not solid roof. Really, it's just the dormer, the shed dormer on either side and a little bit of the gable. But for the most part, there's a lot of open air. I have also included the roof plan, which may or may not be that helpful, but it's really the dormer here and the dormer here, which allows us to get the usable area. Otherwise, even though it looks from the front that it's more massive, those bedrooms are obviously, they have about a 5-foot knee wall before it starts to slope. So we need the shed dormer obviously to get some more usable floor area. And that's really what the relief is. And then you have these smaller kind of triangles of the, sorry about that, of the side really, so that it's not much, it's really just into the roof line at that point, setback. And just so hopefully this helps in being able to better describe really the area that we're trying to get relief for.
Eric, what are the ceiling heights of the floors?
As of right now, the first floor we are proposing 9'6". That again would probably be less when we take into account soffits because of the crawl space, because of that high water table. I think we're going to have challenges with mechanical equipment, and on the second floor, even though I might be calling out 9 feet, the plate height would be at 7'9" on the dormers. And I think more than likely this might even have to come down. This larger section, this higher section rather, was more of just to get the front window in, but this attic may need to get a little bit more height for air handlers and ductwork to get in. So realistically, this might be lowered, and I'm assuming that we'll probably have some soffits throughout the first floor. So 9'6" would probably become closer to 8'6" in some areas with structure and with ductwork. So yeah, that's partly also because of the fact that we don't have a basement. I think we're going to have challenges otherwise in getting everything comfortable and to meet obviously the needs of the house with their air conditioning.
What's the height of the house as you propose here?
So right now the ridge height is 30'8" off of
30.8.
average grade, which is obviously much less, if you're standing on the street looking at that elevated portion of lawn for the sanitary, it would be less. But this would be more representative probably of the street elevation, maybe a little bit lower.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so I mean, it's less than the 32 feet from natural grade.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask about ceiling heights, but what I also wanted to say is, if this was an application asking for 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 cubic feet of pyramid relief, I definitely would be going in the direction of trying to lower those ceiling heights. But for 4,200 or so cubic feet of pyramid relief, I don't know that we necessarily need to ask the applicant to do that, because I don't consider this as much of an impact on the neighbors. However, we'll see if the neighbors are here and that's something to say. At least those are my thoughts. Feel free to, if you have any other comments about concerns about the pyramid. Susan, you're muted.
Sorry. It also seems very wooded, like the perimeter of the property. Is that true?
Daphne?
There is some screening in between. I can show my photos again. Let's see. As you can see, there's some very high screening between the two neighbors that would be high. I don't know that I have a photo of the other. I know the other neighbor on the other side is working on a development plan of their own that you may see in the future. But yeah, so this is a hedge line that's between them. This is pretty high here.
Yep.
There's some lower stuff on the other side, it looks like, but yeah, so that's what we have.
Hey, any other questions or comments?
May I ask something?
Sure.
Mr. Peterson, we always think the importance of the ceiling heights. And it would be important to me if I actually knew what the ceiling heights are, because you were a little confusing. It was, you as the architect presumably could tell me the ceiling heights, but unless I missed something, it was like 9.6, but it's really 8.6, or it really is or isn't really. And that was didn't sit so well with me. So maybe you could actually tell me what they are rather than we're speculating whether it's this number or that number. Am I making myself clear, Mr. Peterson?
Yes, yeah. So the first floor to ceiling is 9'6".
Pardon me, 9.6?
9'6".
And what is the second floor?
That varies because of the nature of the second floor is not flat ceilings. There's lots of, sloped portions, but in some areas it's 9 feet. In the main foyer, it's slightly higher. As I mentioned, I suspect that this is probably going to have to come down to meet the mechanical needs of the house.
Right. But the foyer area looks like 9 feet 10 inches. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Peterson, so the first floor, you could lower that 9.6, is that right? And
I'm saying that right now it would be challenging because of the fact that we will probably need to have ductwork because we don't have a basement, that we are going to probably have to have maybe ceiling suspended units in the garage that will then have to feed portions of the second floor possibly, and the air handlers in the second. So again, I'm suggesting that without having really completed the structure, that 9'6" would probably become 8'6" in portions of that first floor. So, and on the second floor, again, yes, I would imagine that may be reduced, but could you reduce it? Yeah, of course you could reduce it. I'm cautious because of the fact that we don't have a basement.
Would it be possible for us?
I still feel like there's ambiguity.
Correct. Helen, I agree with you. Would it be possible for us to know what the ceiling heights are going to be when you draw in the ductwork?
Without getting a mechanical engineer involved, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I would say again, 9'6" is the first floor, and the second floor is portions of it would be 9. But again, when we say 9, it's small strips, right, of areas, with the exception of where there's a dormer where we've got this slope at 7'9". So that is. It looks, again, I think it's just really, it looks larger than it is. A lot of the second floor is into the roofs, right? So it's not, again, we're not asking for a hip, like the neighbor to the east that Daphne showed, that's a hipped roof, right? So that's a much simpler structure. This is, you can see there's a lot of ups and downs, right? So it's really, these are spot elevations, really. They're not, it's not like it's, continuous through the entire second floor. So that's all I would add, is that it's not as straightforward in comparison as to a traditional, roof where you have like just a single hip or a single slope and then a flat ceiling. So that is, why it's not maybe a straight answer. And without knowing what the mechanical package would be, I'm just anticipating that there would probably have to be some soffits on the second floor. I'm sorry, on the first floor.
Yeah, well, I just want to mention that if it ends up we grant relief, it's going to be for an amount specific in terms of pyramids. So if it turns out that what's ultimately going to be there is going to change, well, then you need to come back. So,
but I think what he was saying was that the ceiling height, it doesn't matter if the ceiling height changes, because it's either going to be a lower ceiling height with more mechanicals up there. The ceiling height won't increase. It might decrease,
right,
but that usable space will still be there.
The roof lines aren't changing. What I'm saying is internally, the actual finished volume would decrease.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Martin? This is for property located at 37 Lake Drive in North Sea. If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this will be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
Okay. So I'm not sure where the board members are on the relief being requested here. So I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if you're really opposed to the grim relief as presented, probably would want to say so, so the applicant knows that.
I'm okay, so I'll put me on the spot. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I have a problem.
And I don't have a problem. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
So 3 out of 4, there are 2 board members who aren't here who are going to watch the public hearing and I suspect vote on it. So Daphne, it's up to you how you want to proceed. If you want to close for written submissions, we can do that. If you want to come back, you're welcome to do that too.
But Daph, I have one further question, Daph. It looks like the 2 houses to the north are 2-story houses. Have they both been granted relief?
Yes, that's what I had said. I had cited the house immediately to the east. The Prisby house was granted 5,070 cubic feet of relief about 10 years ago. And that was an existing house that they did additions to. They did a second floor, and then they did a 2-story addition on the landward side of the house. So in this case, we're proposing to demolish our house and keep everything as far forward toward the street as possible.
And none of that will affect their view of anything, correct?
No, no.
Okay.
We're going to be, and that's why I had showed on the survey. Let me just share one more time. On the survey, I had them show the outline of that adjacent house, so you can see that our entire project will still be further landward of that residence.
Okay. Thank you.
We're kind of stuck here between 2 wetland boundaries and trying to do the best that we can. It's a modest house. It's 4 bedrooms.
So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, it's the wetlands are what's driving the fact that you need pyramid relief, without a doubt.
And also the shallow groundwater table is kind of pushing us up.
Yeah, no basement, that doesn't help either. Okay, so Mike is a lead on the application, but he's not here, so I'll make a motion to close, except for written submissions. The deadline for written submissions will be end of business on June 17th, and there will be a decision ready at our July 7th meeting.
Second,
Ms. Kern,
aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
I,
chair votes aye. Thank you for your comments this evening. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
All right, case number 4, Glover LLC, 374 West Neck Road in North Sea, tax map 900-110-1-1. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. 1, for the proposed dwelling, small I, section 330-115C continuance for a minimum required side yard setback of 10 feet where 15 feet was pre-existing, and 2 small I, section 330-84D pyramid height for a total encroachment of 3,398 cubic feet, 2,528 cubic feet on the southeast and 870 cubic feet on the north side. 2, for unroofed steps, section 330-83C yards, to allow an unroofed steps to be located within the minimum required side yard for the principal building. 3, for a proposed swimming pool, small I, section 330-11 residential districts table of dimensional regulations, for an accessory front yard setback of 12.4 feet from the northerly property line, West Neck Road, where 90 feet is required, and an accessory front yard setback of 51.7 feet from the westerly property line, the West Neck Harbor, where 90 feet is required, and 2 small I, section 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and section 330-83C yards, to allow the proposed swimming pool to be located within the required front yard on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Carl.
Jurisdiction.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you all. I represent the applicant on this zoning application for relief on the subject property. I'm going to share my screen so you can kind of follow along. Does everyone see that?
Yes.
Carl Benacasa for the applicant. This is a request for 3 forms essentially of relief at 374 West Neck Road in Southampton. The property is located just down the road from West Neck Road's intersection with West Neck Circle and up against West Neck Harbor. It is an incredibly burdened property, both in lot size, in lot dimensions, and in its location. What I mean by that is the lot is just under 7,500 square feet when area requires, as you know, in the R80 zoning district, it's required to be 80,000 square feet. So it's less than 10% of what's required for lot size. It is burdened with 2 front yards, one along West Neck Road, and then as its bayfront, one along West Neck Harbor. It was established via variance by this board, variance number 2959, issued on January 7th, 1972. So it exists not as a single and separate lot, not pursuant to a standard planning board subdivision, but by variance issued by the zoning board, again, back in the early 70s. At the time, it was an R60 lot. So it was still incredibly non-conforming, even at the time of this variance. The reason I bring all this to your attention, again, is just to point out the degree to which this lot is burdened. And I think it's important to note that in the variance decision, it's actually noted by the applicant's attorney with concurrence from the board that, quote, anything they did going forward would require approval by this board, meaning the ZBA, meaning anything done on this property, given its lot size, given its dimensions, given its location, would require variances by the board. Now, that's about as burdened as you can get. Considering that, we ask you consider the requested relief as reasonable and insubstantial. So I think it's important now, let's go through the relief we're requesting. If you can see here, this is a proposed survey with the proposed structure, or a survey with the proposed structure. The original structure, right? Currently we're proposing a principal structure that exists at its minimum 10.6 feet from West Neck Road, from its front yard, and just over 50 feet from its front yard with West Neck Harbor. As you can see under the old survey, this was when the variance was granted, the distance from the street was 7 feet. So we're actually increasing the distance from the street with our proposal by 3 feet. But here it's more than, it's around 40% increase in the distance from the street, given that originally it was only 7. Now, again, that's not relief we're asking for, but I just wanted to point out that the structure we're proposing is actually more conforming than what existed. But first, from the aerial, the first form of relief is that we're requesting is the pool. As you can see, the pool exists 12.4 feet from West Neck Road and 51.7 feet from West Neck Harbor. 90 is required in an R80. So obviously we need relief. The reason we're, the funny thing about the relief we're requesting is given the lot width at 73.61 feet, there could never be an accessory structure on this property. So of course, as noted in that variance back in 72, we have to come to this board. Anything done on this property is going to need a relief from this board. That's about, again, as burdened as you can get. So the pool setback is 12.4 feet as requested. Again, under zoning, 90 feet is required. There's no possible way we can meet that on this lot. And I would note that 12.4 feet from West Neck Road is actually a greater distance by about 5 feet from the current placement of the home. So we're actually moving structures back 10 feet, 3 feet for the principal home, and then 5 feet for the pool. There's another front yard we have to deal with, obviously, 51 feet from West Neck Harbor. It should be noted, we have letters of non-jurisdiction both from the DEC and from the town, given that this is a bulkhead here, that as long as the structures, the proposed development occurs outside of or a distance of 50 feet or greater from the bulkhead, the wetlands, both the DEC and the town environmental division admit they have no jurisdiction. So environmentally, this proposal is sound. Moving to the side yard relief with respect to these steps here, as you can see, we're asking for 10 feet required. Obviously, in an R80, 30 feet is required for a side yard at the minimum. At the time this variance was granted for this lot, excuse me. Oh, this is an aerial of what the lot looked like prior to variance. It was one large lot. But again, at the time this variance was granted, the house was 15 feet from the side yard. So again, it was R60 then, 25 was the minimum. They approved this at 15. We're asking for the imposition of an additional 5 feet, not for the principal structure, but just for this stairwell here. And again, essentially the zoning set by the ZBA back in 72 had the side yard at 15. So the relief is not substantial. It's essentially, it's 5 feet in relief there on the side yard. And finally, we're asking for pyramid relief. Oh, where? I'm sorry, there it is, sorry. This arguably is the largest relief we're requesting. So this side here, we're asking for 870 cubic feet of relief. This is the side that borders with West Neck Road. The greater ask is that the side that borders on the southern property line, that's a relief of 2,528 cubic feet. Combined total just under 3,900 cubic feet of relief. So important things to note. Again, given the burdens on the property, it would be almost impossible to put a second story on this without the pyramid relief. 2, the height of the structure is actually lower than we can build under as permitted. We're in the A7 zone. When you add 2 feet of freeboard, you have a base elevation of 9 feet. The total elevation here is just over 28 feet. So we could go up to actually just about over 40 feet in height. We are limiting our height and we are using less height than is required. Obviously, the height of a structure impacts the degree of pyramid. So in consideration of that fact, we have a limited height to the structure. And it is a modest structure of just over 2,500 square feet. The neighbor, the sole neighbor, right here, just to the right, is aware of these plans, has had numerous discussions with the applicant, and is supportive of the plans. There really is no other neighbor. On this side, they're bordered by West Neck Road, over here by West Neck Harbor. And again, there's that flag strip here to the one neighbor that is aware of the plans and has expressed support. So there is actually no other direct neighbor, but again, the most impacted neighbor, arguably the solely impacted neighbor, is not objecting to this relief. As you can imagine, given the constraints on this lot and many lots in the neighborhood, variances have been granted throughout the area. 70+% of the lots in this neighborhood have structures that exist via variance. Some I want to draw to your attention here. In 1985, when it was an R80 zoning district, this board granted relief for a garage, for a rear yard setback for a garage accessory structure to 14 feet. In 1983, when it was R60, the ZBA gave under decision 6770 issued again September 2nd, 1983, granted a side yard to 10 feet for a garage. So again, very small side yard given what was required. And in 1963, a 7-foot variance was granted for a garage 7 feet from the property line. So this sort of relief has been requested routinely in this neighborhood. This board has routinely granted substantial relief in the neighborhood, given the constraints on the lots. In all, given the fact that this lot is incredibly burdened, given the fact that the ZBA in approving this lot noted they would always have to come back here if they wanted to do anything on the property. Given the extent of the relief is insubstantial when you consider what was approved, what exists now, and what we're proposing. Given there are no environmental impacts, as outlined in the non-jurisdiction letters from both the DEC and from the town, given the degree of variances issued in the community, all of that leads to consideration that this is not a substantial application, that this is in line with the character of the community, that there is no other way to achieve this relief, and in sum, that this board should grant the variances requested. Now, Matt from Suffolk Environmental is here. Matt, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Matt, I just have to swear you in if you're going to give testimony.
Matt Ivan, Suffolk Environmental.
You can state your address, Matt.
2310 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And give us your comments.
Yeah, Carl basically covered it. I mean, environmental wise, we received wetland permits or letters of non-jurisdiction from both the state and the town. They're wrapping up the health department to finalize on the IA out system. So yeah, I mean, in terms of environmental, I don't see any issues whatsoever.
Okay.
Adam, I did want to just show, there's a graphic here I neglected to show that I wanted to. And this just shows the impact of the pyramid relief in sort of a three-dimensional way.
Did you indicate what the heights were in on the different floors? I
On
think
each floor?
yes, the first floor and the second floor.
I believe, just one moment. The first floor ceiling height's about 8.5 to 9, and then it would be another 10 or so feet for the second floor.
So the second floor is 10 feet high?
8, I'm sorry, 8 on the second floor. I misspoke. 8 on the second floor.
I'm sorry. So 8.5 to 9 on the first and 8 on the second.
That's correct.
Okay.
And we have total pyramid relief of 3398 cubic feet.
That's right, 3398.
So I go back to the comment I made, not that each application stands on its own merits, but I go back to my comments in the prior application that, if this was a request for, a much larger amount of pyramid relief being, over 5,000 cubic feet, we could explore reducing ceiling heights to reduce pyramid relief. But I don't know that this application and with this amount of pyramid relief that's necessary. In addition, it's worth noting on this application that the most impacted and arguably the only impacted neighbor is not opposed to the relief that's being requested. I do have to say also, this is a lot that was a creation of this board. The relief for the pool, 90 feet to 12.4 by the raw number is a huge, is a large amount of setback relief. But this lot was created by this board and it is extremely small at 7,498 cubic feet. So, really there's nowhere to, as Carl indicated, there's nowhere to do anything on this lot without variance relief. And the alternative regarding the pool will be to just, deny the relief for the pool and they wouldn't have a pool. And I'm not exactly sure, being that the adjacent neighbor who's most impacted is not opposed to the requested relief, whether that is something that we should be doing here. However, I'm just one member of this board, so I'm just giving my initial thoughts.
Mr. Chairman, just to add to what you said, when the relief was granted, there was an upzone since, but it was still R60 at the time. So it was still 1.5 acre zoning when they created this 7,500 square foot lot.
Yeah.
What's
And
the size of
R60
the pool?
Sorry?
What is the size of the pool?
That's 7 by 17.
Okay, so it's a very modest pool also.
So unless we have comments from an adjacent property owner that have expresses concerns about this application, I for one don't have any concerns about it. However, let's see if there's anybody here. In the meantime, any other questions?
No, I'm okay with it too, Adam.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Glover LLC? This is for property located at 374 West Neck Road in North Sea. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
John Stewart.
Okay. You're letting him in, Charlie?
Oh,
He is in.
He is in. Okay. John, you just need to unmute yourself and start video so we can see you and hear you.
Here we go.
Okay, we can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me?
We can't see you. We can hear you. We can't see you.
Okay, start video. Okay, there we go.
There we go. Okay. So unless you're an attorney, you just have to swear you in. So you can state your name and address.
John Stewart, 31 West Neck Circle, Southampton, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing I want to ask you, do you live adjacent to this parcel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right across the street. And if you look at the size of the parcels in the area, I do think it is funny that when people say, well, there's only one neighbor affected. All the houses are so close together that any neighbor would be affected. But in any case, most of it seems very straightforward to me. And the only problem we really have that we doesn't seem anybody's looked into is drainage. As it stands right now, any additional elevation to that property, the water is going to go somewhere else. I don't know where the pool, if the bottom of it's on the ground, but if it's 7 by 17 and it's touching the ground, then that water, that 7 by 17-foot area of water is being displaced to the street, which also already floods.
Yeah, John,
Every-
the town code prohibits that. Okay, the town
So-
code requires that any water on a parcel absent like a, an extraordinary, flooding event of some sort, or like, like a major storm, absent something like that, the town code requires that a property owner maintain the water on their property. So if they have to install drainage, if they have to
Well,
put in dry wells, that's what they need to do.
My only question was dry well. The town has already put dry wells in the street to drain. Dry wells do not work in this area. You dig a hole 2 feet deep and it fills up 6 inches of water a couple hours later. I already have a similar issue where a neighbor raised the property after getting a C of O and drains it onto my front lawn. So it's one, enforcing the laws after the fact always seems difficult. All I want is the promise from the board that they consider all the drainage, because the septic system is going to be raised too. That's going to drain on another neighbor. So all the drainage has to be really looked into thoroughly. That's all I'm saying. It's not just a question of heights and variances like that. Otherwise, I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to ask Carl about your concerns, and I do appreciate your comments.
Yeah.
Sure, they're valid concerns. I would think the building department will require drainage as they see fit. But
they do, but it's amazing what happens.
John, can you let Carl finish, please?
Sure. I thought he finished.
if this board would like to condition this on the installation of drainage, I don't know how appropriate that is, but I can certainly speak to my client about it.
Yeah, I don't know that we would condition it, but I mean, you're going to be sent to the building department's going to have you deal with the engineering department about
Exactly.
issues to make sure that there aren't the problems that John has just described here.
And I don't mean to discount his concerns. I just don't think this is the forum for drainage discussions.
Well, if the permit goes through and then there's a drainage problem, it should be the forum. But in any case,
but what Carl's saying is that we don't grant variance relief or related to drainage. We do listen to and are concerned about drainage issues when they come up, and our response is to make sure that the applicant lives up to the town code when it comes to all drainage.
Right. Okay.
And that's as much as we can do.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
Carl
how
was
would you-
indicating his willingness to discuss with his client, the issue of drainage and whether things can be addressed. Is that true, Carl?
Of course, sure. I'll talk to my client.
So I think that would be worthwhile pursuing, Mr. Stewart, with
Okay.
With the applicant.
Yeah. No, that I already expressed it. I just wanted it down in the meeting. He seems like a good guy, but I just want to make sure, that things are straightforward on that.
Yeah. Well, the town code is supposed to be addressing these issues from time to time, John. We have, horror stories that we hear from people that are either concerned about existing flooding issues or potential flooding issues. So it's not that we don't care about those kinds of issues. It's that really it goes basically to making sure that the town code is enforced when it comes to construction all around. There's not supposed to be water from one property is not supposed to be going onto adjacent lots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
John, if I may, is there a drainage problem now?
Well, yes. The street floods right next to that house. The town had put in a dry well, but anytime it rains, there's a 8-inch puddle right in the main road that's adjacent to the property. Also on 32 West Neck, that house got a C of O and immediately graded their lawn to drain onto my property. But then the town wouldn't enforce the town code to keep them, to keep the water on his property. So you can understand my concerns. after a complaint was made.
No, we understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Carl, anything else you want to add?
No, I just, I wasn't familiar with this fact until now, but apparently that we've had discussions with the town engineer. They've already raised concerns about drainage, and we're going to follow their lead on what they require.
Carl, can you do me a small favor, which is if you find out more information about what the engineering department is proposing, maybe you can, Mr. John, you can not now, but you can reach out to Mr. Benincasa so he can get in touch with you to let you know exactly what the engineering department is going to require.
Right.
Drainage.
I mean, as it stands now, since that property is slightly below me, drainage is not going to be an issue onto my property. It's going to be an issue it would be an issue into the street and the bay, basically. But other than that,
I'm happy to do a written sub with that. And of course, if Mr. Stewart wants me to send it to him directly, all he needs to do is contact my office and give me his email.
right.
Yeah. Okay, and I would encourage that. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Is there anyone else from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening?
Yeah.
On the application of
James,
Clover LLC?
James Case.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Case, just need you to unmute yourself.
He's for another
It's
case.
another application?
Yeah, he's for another application. He's for a later application, I
He raised his
believe.
hand. He raised his hand.
Okay,
Yeah, he's for case number 8.
okay. Mr. Case, can you unmute yourself?
Hello there.
Hi, are you here on, or are you looking to comment on the Glover LLC application or a different application?
Well, this was the application regarding my tennis court.
No, it's
No,
No.
case number 8.
No. We're not at your application yet, okay?
Oh, okay.
That's all right. Okay, so we'll get to you shortly. Okay, all right. So unless there are any other questions or comments, Keith's the lead on this application, but I will make a motion to close the application of Glover LLC, except for written submissions. The deadline for written submissions is end of business on June 17th, and we will have a decision ready at our July 7th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for your comments this evening.
thank you. So long.
Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Case number 5, Ryan Rivikoff, 678 Halsey Lane, Bridgehampton, tax map number 900-104-1-24.1. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed accessory building, 1-story studio with finished basement, small I. Section 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and Section 330-83C yards, to allow the proposed accessory building to be located within the total required side yard for the principal building, and 2 small I, Section 330-83C yards, to allow the roof overhang of the accessory building to be 3.3 feet, where a maximum of 18 inches is permitted, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. We're looking for Lori Wiltshire and Eric Peterson.
Yes.
Then,
Yeah, Eric Peterson, architect.
Yeah, Eric is on, so we're just waiting for Lori.
Yeah, look, I don't believe Lori's going to
Oh,
be.
really? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, very good, Eric. Then I just have to, because it's a different application, I have to swear you in again. So if you state your name and address, please.
Eric Peterson, architect, West Hampton Beach, and for the application 678 Halsey Lane, Bridgehampton.
Okay, and your address in West Hampton Beach?
I'm sorry, 48D, Suite D, Main Street, West
Okay.
Hampton Beach.
Okay, thank you. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You need to tell us about the application.
Okay, I'm going to begin by sharing my screen. This is currently on south on Halsey Lane, how it backs up against open space. This was from a year or so ago when we were doing renovation to the house. And today we are asking relief as stated for the proposed accessory structure, 1-story. And Lori's prepared a comment for me to read, which I'll read. Again, we're asking for 14.5 feet of relief to allow an accessory structure in the total required side yard at 30 feet where 44.5 is required. Relief is also requested to allow the roof overhang to be 3.3 feet where a maximum of 18 inches is permitted. It should be noted that the proposed accessory structure to be used as a studio with a finished basement is no closer to the same side yard as the existing tennis court, which you'll see on the screen here. It should also be noted and is called out on the survey that there is an agricultural easement area that is preserved in perpetuity, and the proposed studio shall have no impact on the neighborhood or any adjacent neighbor for that reason. The proposed studio will have its own septic and drainage systems, which would mitigate any potential environmental impact. The survey also shows the water line to the studio. Sorry, I'll have to zoom in to the studio. And the required setbacks are listed, which is part of the challenge of packaging this building. Yeah, so that's the sanitary is obviously a challenge in locating that. That's why this amount of space has been shown. So the elevations for that, excuse the dog. This is the proposed street side elevation, which is at the 30-foot, the building side, and the overhang does extend past into as described. It should be noted that the total combined setback is what we're seeking relief for on a neighboring parcel at 671 Halsey Lane. We can see it's a common, I don't know how common, but in my experience, I find this to be overlooked often. The total combined for a side is for an accessory building as it's counted towards the primary. You can see here at 671, we've got in the same zoning a required combined setback of 75 feet. So similar again, total side setback of 75. And we can see on the survey that we have 25.7, 29.5, which is basically 55.2 in total. And they would need 19.8 feet of relief if this was flagged, for non-conforming. So I think you'd be able to find similar examples of that happening throughout the neighboring parcels, but that's just one example. So this is again where we're proposing to put the accessory structure, which is basically in line with the existing location of the tennis court. And it's you can see that there are significant hedges. And right now, the proposed building, when you compare lot coverage, everything complies for the proposed studio and all the other totals. We're still under what's allowed, and the house is conforming. So this is, again, at the minimum side yard setback required 30 foot. We just do not comply with the total combined. So that concludes, I guess, the portion of my presentation.
Okay, so my one question I have is it looks like there are two possible locations, at least from what I can see, for the 1-story studio with finished basement, where it's being proposed, and in the northwest, I think it's the northwest corner of the property, north of the tennis court.
It's behind the pool, right?
Yeah, behind the pool. So I just want to ask, it appears that would be the rear yard, and just wanted to ask why that isn't possible to locate the structure there?
Yeah, then the good question. Right now, we are obviously at the limit of the rear yard coverage. So without asking for relief for rear yard, the challenge was obviously it was overlooked. Even I'll just say it that it was overlooked with the total combined. I was unaware of that provision within the code, and when we packaged this, I just held it to the 30-foot minimum. So again, understanding the total combined now as it relates to the primary structure, we looked at other locations. This obviously, because of the existing tennis court, would require relief for the rear yard. And then I'm not 100% positive with the well locations. They're called out on these properties, but I don't see it called out on these. So I'm not sure if we can maintain the distance to the neighbor's wells for this standalone system for the accessory structure in that location. So we're, again, obviously there are a few accessory structures on the property, but the location we've chose would be still, kind of tucked in and away from any real visible view from the street. With the exception, this is pretty well wooded here, so there's not a lot of visibility. And the neighbors, obviously, there's really nobody, with the exception maybe of this person on a second floor level, would see the roof. So that's kind of why we didn't choose that location initially.
Okay, and it looks like there's a reserve easement area, an agricultural reserve easement area to the south, and I guess then the adjacent property is below that.
Yeah,
It's a horse farm.
Right. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear.
Okay. So there's a horse farm to the south.
Right.
Okay.
Large.
Okay. All right. So the relief for the roof overhang is, as far as I'm concerned, practically nothing. I mean, really, it's practically nothing. 1.8 inches to 3.3 feet. So to me, that just to me, it's just not going to impact a neighbor. So the only arguable impact would be the location being in the side yard and the property owner to the south. Have you heard from the property owner to the south, Eric, at all?
Lori hasn't received, to my knowledge, any notification. We corresponded throughout this week, so I don't know if, it was certainly posted. Mr. Nipkoff, shared the photographs of the posting. So I know it was posted, and Lori was the one that prepared that statement, which was very nice. And she brought up, some of those other points, but I don't know of any other neighbors that have raised any concerns.
Okay. We also got comments from the building department. This is from Marjorie Riley, building inspector. This is what we got, and maybe you're already familiar with this, but anyway, survey shall be revised to confirm total lot coverage does not exceed 10%. Although not a part of this application, the pergola with the outdoor kitchen and the second outdoor shower by the pool house were built without the benefit of a building permit, and their legalization shall be addressed with the building department.
Yeah, that was, Mike Rayner has shown that lot coverage on the latest proposed survey. And I think there was Lori also helped us a few years ago when we did the renovation, which included, we have permitted, I did drawings for those other structures that Marjorie's talking about. But I don't believe it was written out on the written description, possibly. So that's why there was a problem maybe with the language in the CO. So Marjorie, we've talked since about those items, and I think Lori will be handling, how we go about it. But certainly Mike Rayner, the surveyor, has captured those other structures on his survey and lot coverage, below the 10% as I listed earlier.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that the building department has everything they need. So that's why I read it into the record. So
Thank you.
So feel free to double check with Marjorie to make sure that she is satisfied in terms of the information that she has. And, since we know that there are structures built without permits, I guess I also want to ask, are you going to need variance relief for the structures to legalize that.
Yeah, sorry if it's not clear. You know, the survey has shown it. I mean, I can go back to the permitted drawings for those other structures, but no. So the survey has the pergola listed here in all those areas. So we comply with the lot coverage as Marjorie has asked for.
Okay.
I think that may have been an earlier comment from Marjorie. So
Yep.
I think it's been addressed since.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure. It turns out you
Thank
need
you.
relief for one of the structures or both of them. You know, we would want to talk about that. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? Members of the board, Katie, Anthony?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard on Zoom this evening in connection with the application of Rivercoff? This is, I'm sorry, Nivacoff. This is for property located at 678 Halsey Lane in Bridgehampton. If you were waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
Go ahead.
Okay, if not, Bob, this one's yours.
Okay, I move to close, hold open for submissions till 6:17 with decision on 7/7.
Second.
Macedonia,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Joe votes aye. Thank you for being here, Eric. I guess maybe this is the last one for tonight.
Yeah, thank you. It was nice. Thank you again.
Thank you, Eric. Good seeing you.
No problem. Have a good rest of your night.
Case number 6, Daniel Baranovsky, 3 Hannah's Court, North Sea, tax map number 900-77-5-33.8. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed sports court. 1, section 330-11, residence districts, table of dimensional regulations for small I, for an accessory front yard setback of 20.5 feet, where 70 feet is required, and 2 small I, an accessory side yard setback of 10.5 feet, where 20 feet is required. And number 2, section 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and section 330-83C yards, to allow the sports court to be located within the required front yard and the required minimum side yard for the principal building and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Okay,
Daniel?
yeah, Daniel, I guess that's swear you in unless you're an attorney. So if you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Daniel Baranovsky, and I own 3 Hannah's Court, Southampton, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you can tell us about your application.
Thank you in advance for all of your time. So I, as I said before, live at 3 Hannah's Court. I have 2 young sons who've asked for a sport court to be built at our home. And I commissioned Ken Beckman, who's a surveyor, to help me understand the town code, and also engage with my original builder, Jay Andriossi, to understand the town code. And I actually could make the court work within the permissible town code, but the lot actually has a significant amount of unique, in particular, Norway spruces that were, I think, originally just there for a very long time. I asked an arborist to give me an estimate of their age. He thinks that they're a minimum of 60 years old. Andriossi thought more like 100, but who knows, 60 to 100. They're 40 to 60 feet high. I've included within the application some images of the Norway spruce grove. And, I'm essentially reaching out to the board because I'd love to avoid having to knock down the trees to conform with the code. I've engaged with my neighbors, in particular the neighbor where the court will be built closest to. That is 1 Hannah's Court. He's provided a letter of support, which I think Candace may have included with the file. If that didn't make it in there, I can share it over Zoom. Also there's support from the neighbor on the other side, which is 5 Hannah's Court, a neighbor behind me on Kennedy Drive. These were kind of, I actually didn't ask for any support when I sent out the applications. These were kind of unsolicited people, just kind of reached out to me and said, that we were supportive, they were supportive. So, The one complication with these Norway spruces is that they're very, very tall. And the arborist explained to me, and I think he also touched on this in the letter which he wrote to the town and was notarized as well, that the height of the trees actually means that their root structure is significantly wider than maybe just obvious looking at the tree. They really, sprawl out. And so his estimate was that, out of this beautiful grove, if we were to build it conforming to the code, we would have to knock down circa 90% of the trees. And so I certainly am very appreciative of the character of the neighborhood. And I'm certainly very appreciative of the appearance. And, I can tell you very honestly that if there wasn't this beautiful grove there, I would absolutely adhere to the code. I'm just trying to, I think, honor a desire of my kids, but also, see if there might be leeway to preserve some of the character of the neighborhood, to locate it in a location which is amenable, particularly to the closest neighbor.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Daniel. I did see the letter from the arborist, and so that is a consideration for us. There are times when we have applications where there is a tree or some other planting that an applicant is trying to preserve. So we have not very often, but from time to time, we've had those arguments presented to us. Anyway, going to the relief, the setback relief is 70 feet to 20.5, which is a substantial amount of setback relief. And then the accessory side yard, 20 feet to 10.5 feet. So I know you had indicated that the adjacent property owners are supportive, or pretty much all of them supportive of your application?
Well, I've had 3 proactively reach out to me, 1 Hannah's Court, 5 Hannah's Court, and I think it's 20 Kennedy Drive. And all of them have actually independently reached out to the town themselves. So there's been the, kind of direct correspondence. I frankly don't know on the other 3 that I sent the certified mail to.
Okay. The neighbor to the north, who's adjacent to where the proposed sports court's going to be, is that one of the neighbors that you heard from?
Yes, that is number 1 Hannah's Court, and that I have the letter of support, which I can share with you over the Zoom.
Okay. All right. So, any other questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Mhm.
I came, I want to pronounce you, Daniel, I'll call you Daniel. I don't have to say your last name.
Okay.
Daniel, I came to see your property, and I agree with you that in order to be in a conformity, you would have to, those trees were absolutely magnificent. And I think the place that you chose to put your court, which is relatively small, 30 by 40, the best I remember,
That's right.
is the perfect place for it. And I'm very happy for you that you did what you did. And it's a very good choice. And I think it's very good for the neighborhood. So I'm in favor of what you've done.
Thank you so much. And thank you for visiting to see it in person. I really, sincerely appreciate
It was
that.
a wonderful visit. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Baranovsky? This is for property located at 3 Hannah's Court in North Sea. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this will be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
Okay, if not, Helen, it's yours.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing. We'll keep it open for written submissions till June 17th with a decision on July 7th. And thank you for coming.
Okay. Thank you all for your time. Sincerely appreciate it. And thanks again, Ellen, for visiting.
Thank you, Dan.
Bye.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your night. Dave.
Okay, case number 8, James Case, 23B Baycrest Avenue, West Hampton, tax map number 900-357-1-34. This is a holdover.
Hello.
Okay, yes, hi, James, you're back. I remember we previously had discussed your application, so maybe you can give us an update as to where you are.
Okay, well, you had asked, I think, 3 questions that I've answered by having my surveyor include a line across the property designating the rear yard, and then the dimensions of my tennis court, which is 55 by 118, and then also the square footage, and all those things are shown on the survey now. And I could show you my survey on the screen, but it's hard to really read any of this information because it's so small. But I gave you guys copies. And
Does anybody else have one? Because I don't have a new survey.
well, I dropped 12 copies off.
When did you drop them
No
off?
one yesterday. No one was there.
Well,
And
We wouldn't get them.
we wouldn't get them if you dropped it off yesterday.
okay, well,
Wasn't the building closed yesterday?
no,
Wasn't the building department closed?
No, it was.
yeah, the
Tuesday.
building department was closed. Yes.
So who did you drop it off with?
Yeah. Well, there's a box there. The man in the booth there in the building, we put it in an envelope, put Candace's name on it, and I thought maybe she would get it today.
Oh, did you call thereafter to find out if she got it?
It
No, but
doesn't
I
matter.
called before and left a message that I was dropping it.
All right.
Either way, it wouldn't.
Okay, but I think it's all going to be moot because I'm going to withdraw my application. When I went to the building department, I was told that the encroachment over the setback of 10 feet from the property line was a problem. He said you would need a variance for that. And so now that I have the dimensions marked, I see that the square footage is more than would be allowed. So what I'm planning to do is go back to the building department and change this to a pickleball court, which is approximately 1/4 the size of a tennis court. And there would not be issues regarding a variance because it wouldn't overlap the 10-foot setback and it wouldn't overlap the allowed square footage.
So you're withdrawing your application, is that right?
Yeah, I'm withdrawing it.
Okay.
Okay, before you withdraw it, I just want to see if there's anyone from the public, just in case anyone's waiting to be heard. So I just wanted to ask if there's anyone in the public who's waiting to be heard on Zoom this evening in connection with the application of case. This is for property at 23B Baycrest Avenue in West Hampton. If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
Oh, yes.
Okay, if not, Mr. Case, I appreciate your coming back, and we'll consider your application withdrawn, and we wish you all the best with what you're going to do with the property.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your night.
Okay.
Case number 9.
Hey, so you didn't try to put the photo?
I did.
Case,
Here, I push.
Mr. Case, I think you have to mute yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
God.
Case number 9, 192 Hampton Bays Realty LLC, 192 West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays, tax map number 900-221-3-17. This is a holdover.
Looking for Dan. Where's his last name? Dan Peverano.
Yeah, he's done.
Okay.
Good evening, Dan.
Good evening.
So maybe you can give us an update as to where things where we are at this point with the application.
I just need to be sworn in, I think.
Oh, no problem. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Dan Peverero, 664 Blue Point Road, Holtzville.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You can tell us about the application.
So if you recall the last time that I was here in front of the board, there were some questions on our latest denial. So we coordinated with the building department and got a new denial letter saying that relief from these two sections are no longer required. So if you go back to the previous one, those two sections would not be required, leaving just these two. And if you go back to the original, it shows that we've made quite a bit of progress here, reducing our requests for variances. And the only two variances that are left are for setback and for colors. We have 4 colors here. We have the green, the white, and the red. And then the fourth color is really just this brown trim that I think is really more of an accent than anything else. That I think makes it more attractive. So we're trying to keep that. We've reduced the side embellishments of this sign down to 4 inches, in line with the requirements for a dual pole freestanding sign, which I should note the requirement, the allowable height for that sign is 12 feet, and we are still only requesting 6 foot high. And if you recall from my original testimony, we're requesting the 6 foot setback from the front yard because the neighboring property is very heavily wooded right up to the sidewalk line, which really inhibits the view line into the site. And of this potential sign, I think everyone, especially for the last few months, is looking at the gas signs, you know, every single time that they drive by one. And I think it really shows, highlights more than ever, you know, the need to really be able to see these signs clearly as you drive by, so you can make an informed decision on where you're going to buy gas.
Okay, well, and appreciate your efforts in reducing the relief that's being requested. That is very helpful to us. We want people to know where the 7-Eleven is. We want to be able to you know, see you. So I understand the need for setback relief. My recollection is we did get something from planning on this. But my inclination on this, I generally, you know, listen to concerns of planning related to applications. But my, you know, with this one in particular, I think having it more set back, I don't think would basically mean that the sign wouldn't be effective in terms of letting people know where you are. So I mean, that's kind of where I stand, but that's just me. So I'm okay with the relief as revised for myself.
Did we actually hear from the planning board?
Mhm.
And they objected, as I recall. Is that correct, Anthony?
Yep, that's right.
They typically object to all variances. They do.
Well,
fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
Dan, is the setback requirement different for a dual pole, or is it still 20?
It's 20 for both.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the colors, particularly if the bronze is like a very narrow border. You know, I would have preferred more of a setback than 6 feet, but you know, I'm not going down to the wire on this one.
Yeah, Dan, maybe you can tell us. I know you told us about previously. Tell us again why the location was chosen as to exactly where the sign's going to be.
Sure. This property that's right next to us has a very densely wooded section of it that extends right up to the sidewalk line. So if you look at this aerial here, it is quite wooded here. So westbound traffic moving down Montauk there's really just not a great sight line here into the site. So we really want this sign close to the property line to allow somebody to see the sign and still have time to make a decision of, oh, there's the gas station. That's the price that I want to pay. I'm going to pull in there. And unlike some other users, where you might be able to miss the sign and that's your end, that's where you're going. So if you miss the sign, you're just going to somehow turn around and get there again. If you pass by a gas station, that's it. You're going to go to the next gas station unless you're in really dire straits. You're just going to continue on your way, and it would be a missed opportunity for this location. And really, it's this wooded area that's off our site that we really can't do anything about that's driving.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Susan.
No, I mean, are you concerned that people will brake quickly? I mean, they'll like suddenly see it and brake to try to read the sign. I mean, there could be some traffic implications. So on that basis, I'm not opposed.
Yeah, generally, and I think your code is written with this intent specifically for trying to keep the sign simple, which I think we've done, is trying to limit the amount of information that's given to the driver and present it in a way that allows them to make a decision in a timely manner and get into a site where they want to. And I think if we were to push this back to 20 feet, by the time their viewing triangle gets around those trees and they can actually see the sign, they're right up here, and they're not going to have time to really make a nice, safe, slow down maneuver in here. And either they're going to miss the site, or probably worse for the people on the road, make some sort of hectic maneuver to get in there.
Okay.
I agree with you, Dan.
Okay.
I have no problem with it.
Okay. All right. Unless there are any other questions, I just want to ask if there's anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with the application of 192 Hampton Bays Realty LLC. This is a property located at 192 West Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
Okay. If not, it's Keith's application, so he's not here. I will make the motion to close the application except for written submissions. The deadline for written submissions is end of business on June 17th, and we will have a decision ready on our July 7th meeting.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Second.
Sorry.
Ms. Kerr.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Joe votes aye. Thanks so much, Dan. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. You too.
And thank you again for your efforts.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Bye.
Case number 10, 1737 Millstone LLC at 1737 Millstone Road, Noyak, tax map number 900-13-1-72.2. This is a holdover.
She's on.
Okay. With Kathy, with Kathy is the applicant. And then we have people and neighbors. We're looking for Kathy Ringwood.
Charlie is Kathy. There we go.
She's coming.
Okay, great.
Mute. Start video. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, Kathy.
Hi, good evening.
Hi. This is to swear you in unless you're an attorney. So if you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Catherine Ringwood, 360 East 65th Street, apartment 20C, New York, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. If you can tell us about the application.
Okay, if you, I don't know if you remember from the last meeting, but the property at 1737, where my husband Carlos de la Torres is planning to build a house, he is asking for a variance on the 100-foot setback to allow a 65-foot setback.
Yes, I do recall. From the last-
Okay, so I don't have a lot of new information. It's basically for aesthetic reasons, but I did want to get together with the surveyor because I know Carlos felt it would be, more advantageous to build forward. So it would be, I don't know, I think the land there is a little more smooth and the back is a little bumpier and you have to bring in some fill. But, excuse me, my voice. Someone else, another neighbor called Carlos the other day, a Thomas Davis, someone we had sent the mailing to. And he, unsolicited, he called him and said, Carlos, I'm in total support of whatever you're doing. You've built 2 beautiful houses on the street and I like what you're doing. They brought up all our property values, whatever. So I know it's a weak argument, aesthetics. But the house next door, if you remember at 1739, I think it is, was granted the 65-foot variance because of the challenges of building it because the backyard was, pitched down so far. And Miss Levine's house across the street is an 80-foot setback. So just in, keeping the character of the neighborhood, we just feel like those 2 distances just make sense for this house also. So it doesn't look, jigsaw, looking. So we think that those setbacks really should define the character of the neighborhood, and we'd like to build within that, that distance. So yes, this man, Thomas Davis, he was going to come tonight, but he had some business meeting or something, but he said he'd be happy to write a letter, and he's totally, agrees with us on, the aesthetic nature of the project. And then, did you get my letter? Oh, Candace left?
Yeah. Yes, we got your letter.
Okay. So, and I know Miss Levine had various complaints, but I thought they were all pretty much not relevant to the subject.
Well, and also you have to take access off of this flag down here, right? Like you're prohibited from using Noyak Road.
It's not off, it's off Millstone Road, and yeah, it's a
Right.
common driveway.
Right.
Yes, yeah, but you're prohibited from having an access off of Noyak Road,
Oh,
correct?
yeah, right, exactly. We can't have access off Noyak Road.
Okay. So your argument is, besides the aesthetic argument, is that you want this parcel to have a setback that's consistent with the adjacent parcel that we granted a variance.
Yeah, and consistent with Miss Levine's setback. I think 100 feet is just, aesthetically isn't in keeping with the neighborhood. I also want to talk to our surveyor. I actually didn't know the meeting was happening tonight. I thought it was going to be the 16th. So I wanted to get in touch with the surveyor, but I didn't have time just to really refresh my memory. I don't get out there that much, and I want to go and really look at the property myself, because Carlos claims that the 65-foot setback would be the ideal spot, as far as the topography and everything to build a house. But I want to look at it. I want to talk to the surveyor and just see, what in that area we can also, bring to the matter.
Okay. Anything else?
Let's see, I wrote some notes here. No, you got my letter, so I think I put everything in there.
So do you want an adjournment to have an opportunity to do that?
Yes, I would actually.
So we'll.
What? Who said whoa? Is that a bad idea?
No,
No.
no.
Oh, okay. I thought someone.
You have to be-
objected.
You can have an adjournment. That's no
Feel
problem.
totally
I want
scared.
to hear from Jill and everybody else here to get their comments tonight. So, okay.
Okay.
All right. Jill, if you can unmute yourself, and I previously swore you in. So if you can just state your name again, and if you can give us your comments.
Jill, you need to unmute. Okay.
I did. I had to find the button. A few things I want to say. I'm not going to repeat my arguments, but I will say a few things that I think were left out.
Excuse me, Jill, could you tell me again where you live?
I live at 1723 Millstone Road, which is directly across the street from where this house and this variance is being proposed.
Yeah.
So as long as you ask that question, I'll go to my a later argument, which is about the neighbor, Thomas Davis. So on this access road right now, as you're driving, there are 3 houses on the left, 1 on the right. There would be a second one on the right. There are only 3 people who live on that street currently. I am one. I have a neighbor called the Crawfords on one side. They've written you comments that you should have seen online. They oppose this. They also signed my letter that they oppose this. On the other side are the Shaws. They too oppose this and they signed my letters. We are the only people who live on the block. Now, last time we were here, I don't know your name, Ms. Garvin, I think. Mm-hmm. You said something that I'm sure you're right, but you talked about who's a neighbor and who isn't. But there's certain things that this body needs to take into consideration, which is the practical nature of what's going on here. So as you know, and Ms. Garvin, we talked about it, and I told you last time that I never received a letter. My neighbors never received a letter.
It was just in terms of mailing.
No, I understand that. And in terms of the mailing, it seems to me that because the house is turned around, if you would, and the front door is going to be facing me, even though that's not exactly the way it normally would be done, it seems as though the neighbors across Noyak are the neighbors that we're talking about. So those neighbors, whoever they are a football field or more away from this house. I'm spitting distance from this house. So Thomas Davis, whoever he is, does not live on my street, does not live anywhere near this house, and will not.
He's right. He is right next door. He's right next door. He's next door to her.
No, he's not. There's no one there.
Well, it's a vacant lot, but he owns that lot.
Okay, it's vacant. There's nothing there. He doesn't live there. In other words, that's all well and good, but I'm the one who's living there who's going to have to be dealing with this. And I think the builder said themselves a minute ago that they realize that aesthetics is a weak argument, and that is because it is. So if you, and I went through the code since last time we were here that you know a lot better than I do, where it talks about variances for difficulties or other hardship. Because it may look nice to the builder, to me is entirely irrelevant. It matters to me what it looks like to me, because I'll be looking at it. And I have gone back and seen many of the recorded moments of this board, and I have heard the chairman say time and time again, the house should be built in the middle of the property. And there's a reason for that, because so that it won't encroach on my small road, and it won't force challenge egress and ingress as it will. That road now is so narrow. I invited you to go visit, and it's so narrow that pushing that house closer, just aside from affecting our views, really makes it a lot more challenging. It's challenging now as an empty lot. So bringing that house closer really affects my property deleteriously. So too my neighbors, which is why they signed that letter. I think you should be completely dismissive, quite frankly, of the argument that there's some aesthetic benefit to having these houses on the same line. My house, first of all, 80 feet. Last time we were here, the builder said it was 60 feet, but it is 80 feet. I corrected her then, and I'm glad she got that point. The 60 feet, the 80 feet, that house, my house, was built in 1980. I was in high school. So whatever rules there were at that time, I don't know. And it is exactly where it is, pushed back, whatever the rules were at the time. The house next to me, Mr. Shah's house, is 100 foot back. So if you want to talk about jigsaw, it's already jigsawed, and it's lovely that way. To put them on the same line makes absolutely no sense. It encroaches on me, my view, my ability to get in and out. It is an absolute It just shouldn't be countenanced because there's not a good reason to do it. If you look at section 166 of 330, they do talk about, and I'm looking at it right now, what's the benefit? The benefit is to give the builder a bigger backyard. And I don't think that's a good reason. And then if the proposed variance under the same section of the law would deleteriously affect someone, then you should consider that as well. And as I'm sure you would, and it would, I'm telling you it would. My neighbors by their letters are telling you it would. As I said, we are the closest people. We are the ones who live there. We're the ones who are dealing with it and will have to deal with it and live with it. The rules are in place for a reason, and there's no good reason here. Even as the builder said, aesthetics isn't a great reason, which I don't even believe it's aesthetics, which of course is an incredibly objective standard under any analysis. The variance in this regard is substantial to the effect that it will move everything closer to me, to that little road, and to my neighbors. And to the extent whether this is self-created within the meaning of 330-165, just like you said earlier tonight, someone eloquently said on a corner lot, you bought a corner lot, you live with the consequences. You bought a lot that has this tiny road, and the rules are you have to be 100-foot setback. That's the rule. And we haven't been provided with any good reason to do it. It's really going to affect me and how it looks. And I want to say something else here. I don't begrudge De La Torres anything. I hope he makes a ton of money on it. I think that's wonderful. Good luck to him. But he shouldn't do it on my back, and he shouldn't do it by pushing this closer to me. And this board should not countenance that type of behavior. I'm going to be here for every meeting. I'm going to make this argument every single time. My neighbors join me in that, the only ones who are close enough and who live there. I will also say, in terms of aesthetic and putting everything in a line where mine is 80 and my neighbor is 100, the other house next to me, the Crawford's house, which was also built by De La Torres, is on a completely different line. It faces Millstone, and it is not in line with either my 80-foot setback property or my neighbor's 100-foot setback property. The only reason that I can come up with is that they would like the luxury of a larger backyard. You know what? I would too. And I would have liked to push my house forward, but I followed the rules, or my builder followed the rules, and they should too. I feel strongly about that. And if you have questions, I am happy, willing, able to answer them.
So my only question for you is there any amount of relief that you would find that isn't harmful to you? Or do you just want us to just deny across the board? Just figure
Well,
out.
I think that's a fair question. And it's a harder question than you think to answer, because you asked a very similar question last time, or someone else did. And someone else said, can you reach out to Jill, Kathy or Catherine, whatever, Kathleen, I'm not sure. I apologize if I got that wrong. Reach out and have that conversation. No one reached out to me. I realized it was a fairly short adjourned period, but I will tell you that when Carlos De La Torres needs me for something, he knows how to reach me. He has my cell phone, he has my text, he has my email. When his house is getting inspected and he wants to be able to show them the waterworks in his new build, he comes to me and say, can I borrow your water? Can I do it? They know how to reach me. We've had it, and I've let him. And this is just, they just want to steamroll me and the other neighbors into having you do what they want, which is give them the bigger backyard and the bigger payday. And I don't think you should do that. So the answer to your question is, I don't believe, if we're following this as a lawyer does, and as Ms. Garvin will, and you say, is there a good reason? Is there a good reason? If there's a good reason for 40 feet, then there's a good reason for 20 feet. There's no good reason that's been provided here. And aesthetics is a subjective, not good enough reason. I challenge that. I don't agree with it, and because of the subjective nature, I don't think that's a good reason. There's no hardship. The statute says, the town code said specifically, when we're talking with difficulty or hardship, and even some of the cases earlier, eloquently argued by Ms. Judd or some of the others,
they had good reasons to do what they want to do. And the gentleman, Baranovsky, who wanted to do save the trees. I love that guy. Save the trees and put up something for his children. This all made great sense. This 1737 makes no sense, and you shouldn't allow it.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How wide is that driveway street?
2 cars can't pass on it.
How wide is it?
I don't know, but I know I have to pull over to the side in order to let another car come by.
When you object to the traffic on that, if they were meeting the conforming setback, would you still have an issue with that driveway?
I don't understand that question. Can you?
Well, you keep talking about how it's going to interfere with your use of the driveway. And I'm trying to make a connection between the setback and the use of the driveway.
Okay. I didn't say it's going to affect my use of the driveway. What the point I'm making is a little bit more nuanced, and I apologize if I wasn't clear. By moving the house closer to that road, we're just crushing everything in, making a very narrow.
Well, I have to say that 65 feet, you're 80 feet, that's 145 feet, plus whatever the width. I wouldn't say that's crushing. So I would just say at this point, you know, Ms. Kingwood is going to meet with the surveyor. She's going to take a look at what her options are. I would like very much to hear what she comes up with and how she comes back. But I think we're just going over the same thing all the time. And we understand your objections and your concerns, but I would like to see what some of the alternatives are.
I think Mr. Crawford has something to say.
Yeah.
Wait, I just wanted to say something too. I know we lost Candace, but at the next meeting, or, you know, when we adjourn this, I just want to confirm too, because I do think, I know, Jill, what you're saying about, you know, like making more space for them for their yard, but I think that this is their rear yard here. So let's say the board denies the variance, right? And they have to conform with the setback. I think, and I want Candace to confirm, I think that they could have a 30-foot setback from that property line for their accessory structures. So I think they could shift a tennis court 30 feet from your, you know, from the flags. And that's, I just want to say that because it kind of is it's functioning as their front yard, but it really is in terms of zoning their rear yard.
Right.
And that, it just, you know, I just want to let you know.
Right. That's the whole point with why we're not considered neighbors, and the Noyak people, I guess, are considered neighbors. I get that.
Yeah. So there could be a tennis court 30 feet from where this is what I'm saying.
Right. I think they'd rather look at a tennis court than
okay.
a tall structure.
Okay. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Stephen, just have to swear you in. You can just state your name and address, please.
Hi, good evening. Stephen Crawford. Address is 1695 Millstone Road.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us your comments?
So thank you for the opportunity to comment on this matter this evening. I live directly next door to Jill, right at on Millstone Road, where the rest of the lots are kind of a flagpole access. And I'm catty corner to the lot in question. And I just want to say that, you know, the character of this block is actually, to Jill's point, I think a bit more eclectic than just lining the homes up in a straight row, equidistant from the street. So when you come in, my house is facing Millstone. Some houses are at Jill's house is 80 feet. The next neighbor is at 100 feet. And then I know the builder, he built a new house now that's at 60 feet, where he needed a variance because of the condition of the lots. But you know, the character of the space is actually more eclectic. And most of the homes you see, there are woods between the home and between the home and the road. So it gives it a sense of kind of more organically developed space, which it is. You know, the homes have come in over time by different builders with different aesthetics, and that is kind of the nuance of our small little enclave. And I think the idea of lining, you know, taking, you know, these are two large new homes and creating a line with them where they're a little bit closer to the road, which means that they'll be largely cleared in front of the house. So now that starts to feel more like a subdivision where we're building more systematically and more consistently from one to the next, which is actually not consistent with the existing nature of the space that we currently enjoy. So, and I think Jill made a lot of other strong points that I agree with, but I would add that as far as the character, preserving the character and the aesthetic of the neighborhood as it is, and of our small corner of the area as it is, I think granting the exception and allowing these homes to be built in a row, equidistant from the street, fully cleared at the front, I think would be contrary to the existing aesthetic, and it would be deleterious. That's my comment.
Okay, Steve, just want to ask where your property is as compared with the applicant's property?
So my property is catty corner to the property being discussed that the builder would like to build on. So we're catty corner to it across that small the small Flagstaff road.
Across the flags that kind of look like a road.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you're like by where Jill is?
Yeah, where Jill is, I'm the next one over towards Millstone. So my home actually faces onto Millstone Road.
Yep.
And I look out on these homes through my living room window. And
Okay, very good. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Any
Thank you.
questions? Any questions to Stephen? Okay. So let me see. I just want to ask if there's, before we go back to you, Kathy, is there anyone else who's waiting to be heard in connection with the application of 1737 Millstone LLC?
No other hand.
No other hands. Okay. All right. Kathy, just wanted to give you a chance to respond.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This gentleman, Stephen, his house, it is on Millstone, but the side of his house is pretty much the same setback as Miss Levine's. So the side of his house, which faces that common driveway, is pretty much even with Miss Levine's property. And then the house across the street, which is at 65 that Carlos built also, that's where we want to build the house next door at that same distance. The other house next to Miss Levine is down the street a bit, and it's 100 feet back, and it looks terrible. I know it's not all about aesthetics, and I have other reasons for which I will go into the next time. But so Stephen's house and 1739 are almost as close to the road as Jill's and the one we're suggesting. That little area is a box. If you go over to the neighborhood, you'll see the house further down is 100 feet. And like I said, it doesn't really look like part of that neighborhood. So to his point that it's kind of an eclectic look, it's really not. Carlos built his house. He built the house across the street, and he's going to build the one that we're discussing. And like I told you, people have commented that he's doing a beautiful job. Thank you for enhancing the neighborhood, blah, blah. We're here to support you. So I will have the next meeting, those people. And I'm going to work with my surveyor because I really want to see for myself the, situation of the house and, everything.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Then if not, I would move, Mike is the lead on this one, but he's not here this evening. I would move that we adjourn the application of 1737 Millstone LLC for all purposes until our June 16th meeting.
Second.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for your comments this evening. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
So that
you.
meeting can
Bye-bye.
be remote. That meeting can be remote or in person at town hall.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
That's 2 weeks from tonight, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Cases number 11, 12, and 13 13, which are Production Holding LLC, Tyrone Tertunian, 57 and 61 Station Road, West Hampton, and their tax map numbers 900-355-2-16.6, and I'm sorry, 18.6 and 18.7.
Good evening to the board. Jim Hume from Kelly and Hume in West Hampton Beach for the applicant. If I could just recently quickly try to recap, as you may recall, last time back in early May, I was here. I reintroduced this application, which has been pending for a fair bit of time. But basically, there are these two lots that were, I guess the word is subdivided by deed, and we're back to try to subdivide them in fact. The application actually takes the form of 3 different applications in 4 different areas of relief. The first area of relief being related to the lots themselves and the variances necessary to create those lots. And I think, as I indicated last time, if those lots are legally approved, they will be very much in the character of the existing neighborhood in size and manner of improvement. The second 2 areas of variances that we're looking for relate to the specific lots and the structures that are contained on those lots. And then kind of a 4th area of variance that we're looking for is under the accessory apartment rules to allow the barn located on 61 Station Road to have been legally converted into an accessory apartment. Again, the last time we were here, a number of the questions related to the concrete structure located on 57 Station Road. And if I can share my screen here, I think we can talk about that. Okay. So first of all, this is, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the overall subdivision map. 57 Station Road here, 61 Station Road here. 61 is improved with the 2-story house, and what had originally been a barn is now an accessory apartment, not yet legalized. 57 consists of a 1-story residence and a concrete structure. I wanted to give you an idea of what that structure actually looked like, and let me start from the beginning. This is a view of the building as a whole. As you can see, it's got 2 garage openings. It's a block building, 1-story, and used for storage, and has been used for storage for quite some time. That's a picture of one of the bays with somebody's motorcycle prominently featured. This is the other bay with some other, well, not the same bay because there's the motorcycle storage. This is the other bay, lawnmower, rider mower, that kind of thing. There's I don't believe there's any plumbing in the building. There is some rudimentary electric. The 2 bays do not communicate with each other. I think they both do communicate out the front and in a smaller doorway out the back. So you can see the doorway here. So that's in a nutshell what all of that looks like. And the question was raised about the square footage of the concrete building relative to the square footage of the main structure. And just looking at it quickly, the concrete building itself is 865 square feet as compared to the house on the property, which is only 663 square feet. So it is relatively larger, but clearly an accessory structure, non-habitable, not for purposes of any residential use, and certainly its use is incidental to the the use of the main use of the property, which is as a residence. Although those relative percentages are pretty high, I might suggest that the comparison is really the yield of the two lots together. And if we add the residential uses of both lots together and compare them to the accessory uses on both lots, we have a figure of 1,684 square feet for the accessory uses as compared to a total of 2,800 square feet for the residential uses. So still somewhat high, but not, I don't think, terribly high. And
What are those numbers for?
If I add the two residences together, I come up with 2,815. If I add the two residential structures together, I'm kind of making a yield argument. The two accessory structures total 1,684. So under that,
The two residential structures where?
this one house here and house here.
Oh, but you're subdividing this.
I am, but I'm
Okay.
making a yield argument that if right now, from the town's perspective, this is one lot. And
Yeah.
so I'm comparing all the residential uses to all the accessory uses for whatever it's worth. So anyway, but the other thing that I wanted to focus on a little bit is that the concrete structure in the rear of the building replaced this shed structure that I have been trying to get some information from my architect to scale this for me, but my own approximation is that this shed structure with that concrete structure replaced, the shed is approximately 1,600 square feet. So what was given up was a full 1,600 as compared to what was added back, which is approximately half of that. So in that, from that perspective, the scale is even smaller, I believe. So that's really what I wanted to talk about as far as that, to answer the questions about the that particular accessory structure. One of the other questions that was asked was the cost of removing that structure and replacing it in a conforming location, which was one of the possibilities offered by this minor subdivision map back in 1979. I am still working on that. I should have that shortly. And the other bit of information I'm wanting to share with you in the future is the cost of converting the converted barn back to a barn. And I think those were the main questions that were asked the last time, but I'm happy to answer any questions about this or anything else.
Well, we've had a lot of testimony over quite a period of time over this, so it is a lot for us to.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
kind of put together. But I will also say that I know you're looking to basically legalize and separate these parcels.
Right.
So which I appreciate. That the history and seeing what happened previously on the parcels certainly matters to us. But it's a lot of moving parts in this application. So yeah. I think myself and the other board members are going to need to go through everything and
right.
Again in some more detail.
And as I said, I have some more information to share. I'm sorry I don't have it this evening, but I should have it by the next hearing, if that's agreeable. But again,
the pre-app report's expired, so
yes.
We got to get new comments. We have new board members now on the planning board, so I have no idea what they're going to say. But
yeah, Candace had to refer to them.
Yeah, no, I know, but we don't have an application from Jim. He didn't submit it, so I need to get that done.
I got some more homework. All right, that's fine.
So, Mr. Grossman, this is going to be adjourned. Is that right?
Sounds to me like it's getting adjourned. Jim, you want to come back again if you have that information?
Yes. Actually, if I could come back at the July 7th meeting, as opposed to the next.
All right.
You could do that.
And when you come back, Jim, would you be prepared just to give us the percentages of the, between the house and the other structures?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. In the meantime, any other? I'm sorry,
I'd
go
just
ahead.
like to say one brief thing. The overarching thing here, I think the thing that I want you to focus on the most is right now, without the subdivision, we have a single lot with two houses on it. Clearly doesn't conform with zoning at all. What we're seeking is to really just to create, there's some other variances obviously, but we just really create a situation where we have moved more in conformity with the requirements of the code with a single family residence on two separate lots, on lots that, yes, are now substandard, but were contemplated to be created when this area was all R20 and the entire neighborhood developed as R20. And these lots, if the subdivision is granted, would be very comparable to the lots in the neighborhood.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Okay. Any other questions? Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening on Zoom in connection with the applications of, we're hearing this single public hearing on 3 applications. Tertunian, which is lot 18.6, Production Holdings LLC, which is lot 18.7, and Production Holdings and Tertunian for both of the lots, 18.6 and 18.7. If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this application, this will be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
Okay. If not, I would move that we adjourn all 3 applications, Tertunian Production Holding LLC, and Production Holding LLC and Tertunian until our July 7th meeting.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thanks so much, Jim. Have a good rest of
Thank
your
you.
night.
You too. You too. Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
All right, case number 14. This is a reopened case. Scott Schlachter, 7 Stanford Court, Noyak, the tax map number 900-24-1-49. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed second-story deck on a non-conforming lot. 1, section 330-115D3, continuance for a small I for a principal front yard setback of 44.6 feet, where 50 feet is permitted, and 2 small I, a principal side yard setback of 14.6 inches, where 15 feet is permitted. And 2, section 330-84D pyramid for an encroachment on the north side of the property of 112 cubic feet and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Okay, can you give us an update or exactly where we are?
I submitted an updated surveys and updated, I guess, pyramid calculations. Do you guys
Okay.
have those?
When did you submit them?
I feel like the other one, it was either, what's today, Wednesday? Yesterday or the day before into the zoning box.
Then we would
Nobody
not
has
have gotten them. No.
No.
Nope. Nope. Oh, no.
So, I
Has
don't know what
anything
to do.
changed? Has anything changed?
The pyramid, sorry, the pyramid numbers have changed.
Okay.
They're actually higher now, I believe. I don't know. Actually, the pyramid confuses me so much. So, forgive me for not having any idea what the pyramid is. I mean, I do. I actually do now. I have learned it's 3-dimensional, cubic feet. I get it a little bit. So it is now up to 1,000 cubic feet now.
Okay. And it had been 112 cubic feet.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you sure it's a 1,000?
I'm gonna look right now. I'm sorry, I was just pulling it up. Yes, it's 64 square feet penetrating the pyramid, 1,000 cubic feet penetrating the pyramid.
Okay.
Are the setbacks the same?
As far as the deck goes?
As, reflected in the, the
Everything's the
original
same
relief?
except that, yes.
So everything
what
else
they-
is the same, just the pyramids changed.
Because I guess they had, the surveyor went and put elevations. So that's why the number has changed.
Okay.
No, we want to make sure the number's right, Jennifer.
Okay.
Otherwise, let's come back. So,
Okay. Oh, and I also have Chris Albino here, who's for the architect.
okay, very good. Chris,
Yeah.
I can
Can you
swear
hear
you in unless I previously swore you in.
Okay, you can swear me in.
Okay, if you can state your name and address.
Christopher Alvino. I work for Harold Gebhard Architect, 363 North Wellwood Avenue, Lindenhurst. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Of course, yes.
Okay, very good.
You didn't swear me in.
Oh, I didn't. Well, did I swear you in last time?
Yes.
I did. So that's
So we're
okay.
good. I'm still from last time. Okay.
You're still sworn. Okay. All right.
So I drew this job by hand. This was not done in the computer. So when I calculated the cubic feet, I went a little over and rounded off to 100. It was not 100. It was like 97 point something or whatever it was. But I just, because it's drawn by hand, I rounded it off to 100 square feet, 100 cubic feet.
Is it 100 or 1,000?
I'm sorry, 1,000.
Well, I think we need to see the survey. I mean,
Well, you do have the survey.
Yeah, they just got it yesterday.
So we don't
so
have.
we don't have it.
So I think, Mr. Grossman, I think
It's
we
a small,
adjournment.
it's a small variance nonetheless. It's tiny.
might be.
I mean,
A survey.
nothing else. Well, you should have the copy of the survey, but no other.
No, we don't. We don't.
When it's submitted the day before the meeting, we're not gonna have it.
It's not
No, I mean,
acceptable.
no, the survey was not submitted the day before.
Oh, the survey you have, the original survey you have.
Yeah, the survey you have. It's the nothing.
So we're talking about the pyramid sketch.
No other portion, if I may, no other portion of this house, anywhere around the entire perimeter of anything portion of this house is encroaching in the pyramid, other than this railing and portion of the deck. Only because we had to add an elevation and bring our line down to a number, a certain datum, that it increased. It's a very, very minute cubic
Right,
feet.
so the design and the plans haven't changed. It's just the numbers.
It's just the numbers, and it's very small in the grand scheme of things. I mean, there's a lot of square footage, a lot of distance around this entire property from the decks, from the house. I mean, this is a very big piece of property. This is a very small situation, and it's a very small variance that encompasses a very small section of the deck. I mean, it's really small. We're not asking for a large variance at all here.
Okay, so I just want to ask my fellow board members. So we don't have the revised pyramid sketch. That is, we haven't received it. It's been submitted, but we haven't received it. So the question is whether we're comfortable taking that as a written submission and reviewing it, or do we want to have the applicant come back after we have had a chance to review it? It's your call.
I'd like them to come back.
So would I.
I don't
I
care.
mean, I'm very confident that you guys will approve this application.
Okay.
I am too.
If you want to review it
Can you see
and
this?
send us a decision. And send us a decision. I'm very confident that this is going to be approved. So I don't mind whatever you want to do, but I don't think we have to come back. I think you guys can make the decision and give us I believe.
Chris, it's up to us. It's up to us. I appreciate that, but it's up to us.
Okay.
Okay, listen, but before you decide about that, we also wanted Jennifer to address, when we had heard this a long time ago, we had received a letter from one of the neighbors in opposition, and she had requested some screening. So Jennifer, we had asked you before to address whether or not your client would be willing to screen this.
I honestly don't remember that as part of it. There's old woods around the house. I'm not sure.
Yep, we got a letter July 10th, 2021. We sent it to you. It's from Ariel Trammell Fisher. And she says, she'd prefer, that the setbacks be maintained. She'd request that screening trees be planted between the properties to add privacy and noise reduction.
Right.
Specifically,
I
she requests.
don't see that as being a problem. I mean,
Okay.
it encroaches, I believe, 6 inches.
So you don't believe the pyramid's a problem, or you don't believe the
No.
screening is a problem?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the 6 inches on the deck itself.
No, I'm asking if you would consider screening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's not a problem.
Okay. All right. So before we do anything else, I just want to ask, well, are there any other questions? Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Slachter? This is for property located at 7 Stamford Court in Noyak. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
Okay. Susan, I guess, I guess the other question I want to ask is, it sounds like members of our board want you to come back. Can you come back at our next meeting, which is June 16th?
June 16th?
Yep.
I believe so. I don't see the problem, but Scott Slater is trying to get onto the Zoom. Do we see him anywhere? I don't know. I don't, but.
Is he phoning in or is he Zooming?
They just texted me that Scott is trying to get on the Zoom. He FaceTimed me, but.
Is he under a different name?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Hello? No, they just want to see the survey and see the pyramid. They haven't reviewed it yet, and they would like to know if you would put in some screening for the deck, some bushes. Did you have a problem with that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
gotta
they want to.
We got to move on.
Okay.
We're gonna move on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So So unless Scott's gonna get on the Zoom right now,
No, we're
just
good.
gonna adjourn it till June 16th.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
Susan, you want to make that motion?
Yes, I move that we adjourn this application to our June 16th meeting.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, third,
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mrs. Macedonio,
aye.
Joe votes aye. Thank you for your comments this evening. We'll see you in
Thank
2
you.
weeks.
Have a good night.
Have a good rest of your
Bye-bye.
night. Bye.
Okay, we're up to the decision calendar. I have a decision. Can I go ahead?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. I have a decision in the matter of the application of 3 Sticks Q LLC, 111 Quimby Lane, Bridgehampton, New York, tax map number 900-117-1-11. Applicant requested relief from the town code for a proposed carriage house and asked for a waiver of the transfer of one or more development rights or PPC to the site. Other initial requests were met in other ways, so we didn't have to deal with those variances. Let's see. This property is a size of 146,202 square feet and is 2.5 times the size applicable for an R60 zoning district and could be subdivided into 2 lots of appropriate size for the zone. Applicant would agree to waive any future subdivision rights if the waiver of transfer of development rights or PBC is approved, essentially creating a density neutral situation with the construction of a carriage house on premises. We find that this applicant is entitled to the requested variance relief. And we find that in granting the variance, it meets the 5-part test set forth in the town code and the New York state law. And for these reasons, the board grants relief from the following provision of the town code, section 330-9D4, density incentive provisions, to waive the transfer of one or more development rights or PBC Pine Barren credit for the construction of a carriage house as shown on the site plan prepared by Vincent Gaudiello, PE of the Raynor Group, last revised April 4th, 2022 on said premises, conditioned on filing a covenant against any future subdivision of the premises unless the carriage house is removed or made to otherwise comply with town code. Grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
We have a second.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, I have a few decisions to read. First one, trustees of the Adria Alpert Rom Revocable Trust. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-210-158. This application is for property located at 18 Cheviots Road in Shinnecock Hills. Applicants request variances in connection with a proposed swimming pool and garage on a lot that is burdened by 2 front yards, Cheviots Road and a paper road called Depot Road. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants applicants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. For a proposed swimming pool, Town Code 33011, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for an accessory distance from street setback front yard of 52.5 feet where 70 feet is required. And 2, Town Code 33076D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and Town Code 33083C, yards, to allow the swimming pool to be located within the required front yard for the principal building. And 2, for a proposed detached 1-story garage, relief from Town Code 33011 for an accessory distance from street front yard setback of 50.5 feet where 70 feet is required. And 2, Town Code 33076D, placement of all accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and Town Code 33083C, yards, to allow the proposed garage to be located within the required front and required minimum side yard for the principal building, for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Jeffrey Hatterer, last revised February 17, 2022, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Joseph F. Miller of Yankee Barn Homes, last revised May 2nd, 2022. The granting of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including that all fences over 4 feet in height shall comply with the Town Code prior to the issuance of any certificates for the garage and pool.
Second.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I next have a decision in the matter of the application of Mark House Developers, LLC. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-234-115. This application is for property located at 43 Middle Pond Road, Shinnecock Hills. Applicant requests a road frontage variance for a property that is accessed over a 20-foot wide right of law / easement. I think right of way / easement. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 33082, lot width, to allow a road frontage of 0 feet where the minimum road frontage for a lot at the street line shall be at least 40 feet. For a lot as shown on the survey prepared by Squires, Holden, Weissenbacher, and Smith, last revised October 15, 2021. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I next have a decision in the matter of the application of William and Neil Owen. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-77-340. This application is for property located at 86 Straight Path North C. Applicants request variances in connection with the proposed accessory apartment on a lot where the existing dwelling is 1,000 square feet. Applicants revised their plans several times to address the board's concerns as it related to the size of the accessory apartment as it relates to the dwelling. As modified, this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board finds the proposed accessory apartment structure to be subordinate and incidental building / use pursuant to Town Code 335 definitions because of its size in proportion to the main dwelling and its use, notably due to the variance granted for the main dwelling size, and grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed accessory apartment. 330.11.2 special standards for a lot area of 24,695 square feet where 48,000 square feet is required, 80% of 60,000 square feet, and a lot width of 100 feet where a minimum of 105 feet is required, 70% of the required 150 feet. 2, Town Code 330.11.2G to allow the size of the accessory apartment to be in excess of 35% of the total floor area of the principal dwelling at 52.7%. And 3, Town Code 330.11.2J1 to allow 2 access driveways where only 1 is permitted. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Harold F. Tranchen Jr., Land Surveyor, last revised May 2nd, 2022, and the plans prepared by Lisa Zaloga, architect, last revised April 18, 2022. This decision is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including but not limited to an accessory apartment application form and the removal or legalization of the existing deck, outdoor shower, and shed prior to the issuance of any certificates for the apartment.
Second.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I next have a determination on the application of Blades of Grass LLC. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 987-3-10.6. This application is for property located at 102 Highland Terrace, Bridgehampton. Applicant requests a rear yard coverage variance for a proposed tennis court and for the placement of a portion of the pool and pool house to be located within the total side yard for the principal building. Applicant initially requested relief for a 60 by 120 foot tennis court, but agreed to sink the court and reduce its size to 50 feet by 100 feet to reduce the variance. As modified, this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 330-77D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a proposed rear yard lot coverage of 28%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted for a proposed 55 by 110 sunken tennis court. And from Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow a portion of the proposed swimming pool and a portion of the proposed pool house to be located within the total required side yard for the principal building. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by John Borelski, Land Surveying, last revised April 27, 2022. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And last one I have, White Banana LLC for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 934-224.1. This application is for property located at 142 Middle Line Highway, North State. Applicant requests a height and pyramid variance for an existing dwelling that exceeds the height regulations due to surveyor/builder error. While this board does not condone construction done beyond the scope of a permit, nor does it typically grant variances for height for structures outside of a flood zone, this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Town Code 33011, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a building height of 37 feet 6 inches, where a maximum of 32 feet is permitted. And 2, Town Code 33084D, height/pyramid, for an encroachment in the amount of 0.02 cubic feet on the easterly side of the property for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Robert A. Smith, Esquires, Holden, Weissenbacher, and Smith, last revised April 27, 2022, and the elevation and pyramid drawings prepared by architect James McDonough of McDonough and Conroy Architects, dated February 1st, 2022. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired and may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion to close.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.